Hey, ambitious babe, I'm Kat, and welcome to the Modern Wellness Podcast. If you're tired of the same old hustle and burnout story, you're home. Together, we are rewriting the rules of success and showing you how to build your rich empire without losing your soul in the process. Ready to own your story and step into your main character energy? That's what I thought. Let's get it. Hey guys, welcome back to the Modern Wellness Podcast. I am so excited about today's episode because it's not just me here. You're finally getting to meet my favorite person in the world, my partner in life and business, my husband, Cliff.
Hello. Good to be here finally.
I am really excited for us to share this episode because modern wellness has changed our lives in so many ways. And so I just wanted to start out by us talking about that and really getting your take on modern wellness. I couldn't think of a better way to kick this off than having you here, really diving into what it's really like to build a business together, to navigate marriage, and somehow have a little bit of life outside of that. And it definitely hasn't been easy.
Awesome. We're both very much into personal growth, personal development, and all that. But we bring very different perspectives to it, and our journeys and who we follow and who we look up to kind of is what brought modern wellness to life, because there's not somebody that we listen to 100% and we're like, just got to do it like this. We took our bits and pieces and found out what worked for us, and that's this fun journey.
I couldn't agree with that anymore, because I know for us, just navigating wellness in general has been really hard. But then adding business on top of that, adding life, mapping out what the priorities are, that came first for us. And to have clarity with that was so important, and alignment with the business, with life, what really matters most, because our to-do list can just go on and on. So I think that was really important for us to do.
Communication. I mean, that's the first step. As we were going through this journey of personal growth, which never ends, right? It's a constant journey. But if you can make sense of it for yourself and create some kind of communication with your partner about where you're at, what you're trying to do, I think that helps tremendously.
Agree. Let's go back and talk about, within modern wellness, specifically the 4M's. How do you feel that has really helped us with mapping out our goals for our life, really? Because
it's just life in general. Right, we can talk about hitting your targets and everything in each area, but modern wellness and having some kind of structure. I know some people are like, oh yeah, you don't need any structure around life setting goals. If it's too structured, it feels robotic, right? But almost the more structure you have, you can work within that box to hit certain goals, and it just creates a lot of balance. I know you and I don't believe that life can be fully balanced, especially when you're an entrepreneur and trying to grow a business. But working through modern wellness, it does bring balance. Some areas in the 4M's, you'll be working on more than others, different seasons of life. But when you look at it across all four, having a little bit of balance, that you're working on one area just a little more, but you can't let another area be neglected. And it's those crazy times when you start neglecting certain areas, but it's easier to know where the negativity is coming from and what you need to focus on if there's a little bit of structure around it.
Yes. I think that we get so caught up as entrepreneurs, as business owners, thinking that we have so many things on our plate, and just having the 4M structure allows us to, one, get clarity on what's really important. When life gets chaotic, we can go back to that one thing that we want to focus on. In these seasons of, growth, or if we're in seasons where, building a family or whatever that is, we can know what we need to focus on. And I think that the clarity that the 4M's brings allows us to find alignment. I think that's what the key word is. Rather than balance, it's alignment, because alignment, you can still have your aligned core values, your aligned purpose and mission, versus trying to find balance in this equilibrium that will never exist together in each different season of your life. And I think that that's been one thing that's been really helpful for me, is that I always thought that I had to do everything in every area, and you just have to focus on the one thing that's going to move the needle and go from there and break that down.
Right. It's simplifying it. I think the cool thing about 4M's, which starting with movement, mindset, marriage, and money, like when you really simplify it and you look at those buckets of life, that's what everything falls into, those areas, right? That's life. I know a lot of people go into adding other areas. Like some people say there's 7 areas and some people say there's 8, and there's 2 areas. But from our life, what we found is it's really broken in those 4 buckets. And you're completely right. If you have alignment with those 4 areas, that lets you create progress over perfection, right? Like you take those baby steps in each of those areas and you know which one gets out of alignment and you could bring it back as long as you have everything else that you're working on. It's living with intention too. And yes, you can go off and you might find some other category, but it seems like they relate. And then you can bring them back into alignment. If you imagine like multiple circles, and that smallest circle's you and yourself, and then the next circle out is you and your partner living life. And like you have to make sure the walls are kept, the roof's on that. And then the next one out is like your family, and then it goes out to like community and all that. And so that picture is always stuck in my head. Whereas like in the 4M's, movement is yourself. You're taking care of yourself and your own well-being. And then your mindset, everybody talks about mindset these days because it's so important. Like, I don't know one course or one influencer or any digital course like that they haven't done. The very first lesson is mindset. You know, it's so important to everybody's lives. And then the next one out is marriage. Like your partner, your family falls in that, your kids fall in that. But we really focus on marriage too, because we believe if you don't take care of each other, like how can you even take care of kids or anything like that? And then we've also talked very much about all the people that we look up to that are running businesses together really have started to say like, hey, that's your secret weapon, right? Your partner in life. If you have a supporting spouse, you're unstoppable at that point. Both of you are unstoppable. And then the last one's money, but right, each one flows out into the other. And that's modern wellness. Like when you're overflowing your cup, you can overflow your marriage cup, and then you can overflow into your mindset. I did those backwards, but then that all overflows into your business or your career, which creates the money.
Yeah. And then beyond that, it's the ripple effect of how it bleeds into your business, right? Like you just mentioned money, how it affects how you lead, how you treat your team members, how your productivity is even. If you take care of yourself and if you are healthy or treating your relationships right, if that's all aligned, and then if even in your environment, everything bleeds into that. So, it's that ripple effect is if you take care of yourself, then everything else will follow. I want to know what has been one of the profound ones for you. Has there been something within modern wellness that kind of you've had this light bulb moment, or even earlier on when you were like setting goals or building your business? What has really been the aha moment for you that clicked, that was like, okay, this works?
Setting goals. Like, let's just go there. One of the easiest ways it's explained to us to set goals is like New Year's resolutions, right? But everybody's like, oh, let's look at the full year, 12 months at a time. And there's so many other ways to look at that. Things just move so fast. And where we are today, we might be in a completely different spot in 12 months from now. Are those the same goals that you want to hit? So if you set this long-term goal, and I believe everybody should have a vision of where they want to go, right? Like plan out your next 3 years. It gets harder and harder as you go. 5 years, 10 years, you have no clue. But 1 year, you can really set out 1 year and then work your way back. So I think that the best thing for me is breaking it down. Like you and I don't we do our year goals, but when we really get tactical about it, it's 90-day chunks. And that gives you enough space because maybe you set the wrong goal and 90 days, you didn't waste a whole year because you're going after this one target. But we've also realized that when you set these 90-day targets, so you have 4 chances to hit your goal. And if there's a main goal that you set for a year, you might get it done in 2 of those 90-day challenges for you or 3 of them. But most of the time, it seems like we get it done before the year. So we hit goals faster that way and being just so intentional about setting targets in different areas of life.
I think that's so important too, because a lot of people, that is the biggest reason why the New Year's resolutioners fail, I think, because they, it's not the SMART goals. They get way too big with it. It's really good to dream big, but is that realistic that you can hit that in that time frame?
I do believe in the structure, right? When we're setting our goals and all that, we're still using like that SMART framework, but it's simplifying it. And when you have, I remember somebody was saying that 8 to 10 goals, like you don't want any more than that for your year resolutions. And then you're working on those the entire year and it just gets tedious. But having like 90 days goes by so fast. There's some times where we haven't even come close to our goals. We completely forgot about them because we weren't intentional about it. And then the next 90 days, you're back on track, where a lot of people sit there and like, oh, I have a whole year to get it done. I have a whole year. But 90 days actually helps me keep it on track.
Mm.
I know like one for you, when we first started really talking about like 1 year, 3 years and all that, you had a hard time visualizing and dreaming big and like where you wanted to go. It'd be really interesting because we haven't really talked about this, just how you like dream big, like what was the trigger that made you start dreaming big? Because I think once you get into that and you can sit there and visualize where you want to be and what you want to do, it makes it easier to set targets in the other areas and stay on track even more. But if you don't have a vision, it totally blew me away because I was like, wait, you don't do that all the time? Like you're not sitting there daydreaming about where you want to go and what you want to do?
Oh, yeah. Okay. You're kind of going a little deep on that one. Yeah, I think when we first met, it was very hard for me to really think outside of, I guess one thing would be like pleasing anybody else. I wasn't living for myself. I was kind of floating through life and not really knowing what the next step was for me. And then when we met, you opened my eyes to really dreaming big, or remembering that I could dream big, allowing me to dream big. And that definitely was a turning point where I had to do a lot of inner work. That's when we really got into personal development because I needed that reflection and I needed to learn more about myself and go inward a little bit and see that, oh shit, I can really do whatever I want for me. And that was one of the reasons why I fell in love with you was because you pushed me to dream big and saw the potential in me that I didn't even know that I had. And I think it's getting clear on what you want out of life and what lights you up, what makes you happy. Then you can start doing that visualization. Then you can start seeing that big thing like, oh, I can do that. I can see that 1 year goal. I can see that 3 year goal. I can see what my life purpose is really. But then I also think putting a huge part of that is putting pen to paper, where sitting down and taking the time to journal, to reflect, to give myself that space where I wasn't going there before. And that really sparked the dreaming and like the goal setting for me. And that just was game changing for me.
We've had some like really fun evenings where we sat there and dream. I mean, we have like our restaurants that we go to and we sit down and we know, hey, this night is just dreaming night. We get to talk. And those are some of our best conversations of like where we want to go and how I think we've gotten on the same page about a bunch of different things and connected. It's so much fun to think about like the possibilities, right? And then go at them together too. Mm-hmm. Like there's a lot of couples, and it's really sad. A lot of couples like don't even share their goals or where they want to go. So how are you even going to get there if somebody's not supporting you or you're not aligned in any way?
Yeah, that's been really important for us from the very beginning, though, was for us to take the time, like prioritize, date night to really like sit and talk and actually talk to each other, mm-hmm. not just be on your phone all the time. I think that's been key to our growth and making sure that we do take time for each other and we're not just always all about work and, making sure that we both feel supported.
Yeah. And now you're getting back into like what modern wellness is and what it means to us and what we're trying to do with this brand. Because it's not just about setting goals. Like you have these different buckets. That's just one part of it. But modern wellness really is this idea that we live in this digital world and wellness is so broad and there's so many people talking about how to live this like full life.
A balanced life. They're always trying to talk about balance.
Yeah, but in wellness, it means so many things nowadays. You have your biohacking, you have your nutrition and eating healthy.
Mental health,
like
emotional health,
right?
relationships.
Everybody's telling you in every area, like how to live this healthy life, this wellness. And that's what we're trying to figure out. Like part of this journey is modern wellness in this like digital age. Cause our whole company's like digital, basically, like our team's remote. Most of our team's remote. We're on screens with clients all the time. Like we live in this crazy digital age where sometimes we don't even leave the computer all day. And so what is modern wellness? Like, how do you live this modern wellness life if you're not intentional about it?
You kind of have to adapt. You have to have some sort of structure. And I think that that's what people are missing. Or just, no intention with their life, having leading it.
There's one other thing you mentioned, like when you were talking about like visualizing, is you mentioned comfort zone. And I think that's so many people when they're going through the motions, they just get in this comfort zone and don't set ambitious goals or targets in life. And when you get in that comfort zone, you just keep making the same progress. Sometimes you don't even make progress, but this is what you know. But then as you start hitting your goals and you live this like bigger life, like it creates a lot of confidence to just challenge yourself more. Like the more that you challenge yourself, the funner life becomes.
Going after those hard things is what gives you confidence, right?
Exactly. Some people might want to live an easy, comfortable life in the comfort zone. That's not us.
Right. That's not fun. You can't grow from the comfort zone. But a lot of people, like, you're right. That's what you were saying, is that people are so comfortable being comfortable and they can't imagine life any other way. And to me, that's really sad because it's so limited, because we have the capabilities to do so much with our lives. And people are just not willing to make a little bit more effort to even enhance their own lives. And they just get so stuck.
Yeah, dream bigger.
Yeah. And that's where mindset comes into even more, because that's the growth mindset, where you're not always quite satisfied and you're always looking for that next challenge, that next move, that next level up. And I think that that's where both you and I are so aligned with that, where, okay, we're always like on to the next, but then we have to remember that we need to celebrate where we came from, but then challenge ourselves, because once you set that standard high, you always want more and more.
That's just success in general. You're always going to want more. And society has kind of taught us that that's unhealthy to live like that, which I totally disagree with. Yes, you're completely right. Like you have to celebrate those wins as you're going through life, but why sit there and celebrate it forever and then not continue to make progress? If you got so excited and you're celebrating that win, like why would you want to stop that momentum? It's something that we're really trying to figure out too, modern wellness. And it's grown so much bigger than we thought it would. For us, this is how we sit down and have talks over dinner. And every quarter we sit down and we write our 4 targets that we're trying to hit, and post them on the wall. So it just creates this conversation and support from each other.
Well, when you become aligned and know what each other's goals are, you get excited about that. You're like, okay, what's next? Like, what have you been working on? How are you feeling? Like, is there anything I could do to support you? And it's that alignment and clarity. Once you can help each other, if you know each other's goals as well, it's always talking about those things. And you should be excited about what you're doing with your life.
Mm-hmm. And you're setting like even some bigger goals than I'm setting. And it's fun because now that you're dreaming big, we push each other in such a cool way. It's hard when you're on one side and you're just either being pushed by your significant other or you're the one pushing them because you see so much more. And I think kind of the fun thing is like we're both very competitive in a good way. Life is competitive, but in a relationship, I don't think it should be competitive. So I just want to make that clear. Like that was something that we've talked about quite a bit. Like you shouldn't be competing with each other, but you're on the same team. And as a team member or a teammate, like how do you support each other to get to that next level? And then like in the marriage bucket, we set goals together, which is really fun. We have our own separate ones we talk about, but a lot of times like the marriage goals are together. So it's fun to get to like dream together. And that was the first time I've ever done an exercise like that in goal setting, where you sat with your partner and started making goals. And when I saw you start dreaming really big and opening your eyes, and you made a vision board that we hang on our wall with everything that you want to do. And it was like, oh, wow, she is dreaming big. I need to keep
Go
up.
big or go home.
I need to keep up.
Yeah, you opened up the box with that one.
Now it's no stopping until we get there.
There's no limit. And I think that comes from the confidence with going after starting small and then accomplishing those small goals and those stack day after day, month after month. And then you can see the potential of, oh, this is doable. This is totally manageable.
It helps you take action.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, there's multiple things that motivate me, but like when you start dreaming big, I think that's when I saw the shift in you, like how motivated you were to go down this path, change, and just not live in the comfort zone anymore. Having this little bit of structure and then us sitting down and like dreaming throughout the year, like really is motivating, because then you wake up the next day or you get back home that day and you want to start knocking stuff out like crazy, taking the next step that move progress forward. And then when you start seeing that progress being made, that's like when you become unstoppable. A lot of people get all filled up with anxiety, and all you need to do is take a little action. In the book Unstoppable, he writes, action beats anxiety. You just keep taking those steps forward and it becomes clearer and clearer. Like none of us know what we're going to be doing or where we're going to be down the road. But if you just keep taking those baby steps of where you want to go and being intentional about it, you really start seeing it more clear what you want to do. And that's for me, like a lot of like purpose in life too. Like you don't really know your purpose. Like you'll do things that you enjoy, but then you start getting more and more clear of like, no, I need to start doing this. And it's like how you started Modern Wellness. Like it was something that we always talked about, but you're like, this just means so much to me. It's getting more and more clear. Let's do this. And then you just took baby steps and you turned on a mic and started recording.
That was really scary. But yes, it was the next step and the next thing that was going to push me way outside of my comfort zone. And so that was just the next biggest step. And I think one thing that we're not touching on is, we're talking about, building this confidence and then, going, taking those baby steps, becoming more clear on your purpose. And all of that gets back to building your main character energy. I would love to know what you feel is the main character energy. What is main character energy to you?
Everything that we just talked about, like getting clear on your why, your purpose, taking the baby steps to open up your world and your vision and dreaming big. Like that vision that you have, that's your main character energy. It's what you're doing on a day-to-day to create that momentum. Like that's your energy. That's your motivation that keeps driving you forward. But I think everybody is meant to live this main life that they're dreaming of. And you're not going to do that by living in the comfort zone and not having any kind of structure and not being intentional about where you want to go. You line up those things, that's your main character energy. It's showing up as your true self and just not even apologizing about it. Like, this is who I am.
Yeah. Showing up as the best version, the highest version of yourself, and showing up for yourself every day as the main character in your life. Not being second string, not pulling back and living in that comfort zone, like you said, but doing that 1% every day and doing what you're supposed to be doing. If you have these goals, follow the plan and you will build that confidence and build your main character energy life. Like that is what that's all about.
Mm-hmm. And it's not fake. Like it's not you becoming this fake person.
Right. No.
It's you becoming yourself, and then that attracts other people and attracts business. It attracts everything else in life too.
Yeah. I really wanted to just ask you that to see I don't think I've ever asked you main character energy.
Love it.
I would just like to know how you're feeling right now in this current moment about modern wellness, about the modern wellness lifestyle, and then also just like really share the impact it's had on your life.
I think modern wellness really means something else to everybody. And we talked a little bit in this episode about pulling pieces from a bunch of different mentors and people we look up to and follow. And I think like we're trying to create our own structure around it and then share that to help other people. But if somebody only takes 10% of that and then they have their other 90% they're taking from all these other areas, I think that's a huge win, right? I don't think there's any one answer for everybody, but for me personally, it's really simplified how I look at setting goals, the areas that are important in life. There's an order to taking care of myself. And I know like my health like drops off because I'm stressed out about the business, or our marriage drops off because then I'm only focused on doing my thing. And then my mindset completely drops off because I'm focused in other areas. But I have basically an instruction manual now of how to get back on track. And I'd go through years before where it's like, okay, I'm just driving and trying to hit these goals of where I want to go and the vision that I have. But there was no like structure around it to take a regroup and say, okay, this is off track. This is on track. What do I need to do? And it's that kind of structure that I needed to progress life faster towards the vision that I wanted to go.
I for sure can see that. And I feel that 100%, not everybody is going to align 100% with the modern wellness or even like how we map out our goals with the momentum map. But I feel in the past, I've gotten so overwhelmed and almost like the paralysis by analysis where it's even hard to start. And that's the hardest part is like, you just have to start a little bit at a time, do a little part of it. And then over time, you build those baby steps, you build those baby wins, and then you'll want to begin to challenge yourself more and more. And I think that that's so important. So we're not here to tell you what to do or how to do it. It's all about finding out what works for you. And I think that that's the most important thing is just making sure that you're taking care of yourself and being intentional.
We live in this world that there's so many distractions and we get off track quite a lot with
shiny object.
Yeah. Well, it's not only shiny object. That's one major distraction, right? But it's just the entire world of distractions and celebrations and all that. And putting out fires, like especially as a business owner, you have to put out these fires and deal with the issues that are going on.
Like the squeaky wheel.
Yeah, exactly. Just having a little bit of structure. That's why like I keep going back to simplifying it. It just simplifies everything. Because if life gets all crazy and stressful and you're not making progress towards the things that you said you wanted to do, because you're putting out a fire here at the office, at home, you're not showing up for yourself at the gym anymore, or trying to like just stay in shape. Like you start losing energy, you start losing confidence in yourself. I guess that's like modern wellness. It's like, how do you take all that craziness and bring it all in and not live with peace, but live with a little bit of control.
Exactly. Once you get clear, right, on the one thing, what's that thing?
And at the very end there, you said the one thing. Big believer in that, multitasking, nothing gets done.
Right. Well, even when I first started goal setting, I had this like long list of all these goals in each area. And then that kicks you in the gut because you're like, well, shoot, I can only do like a couple of these in each area. And so then it feels like you're not moving forward. And so, really, like you said, simplifying that and identifying what matters the most to you and what's going to move the needle the most. And then okay, knock that goal out fast, probably faster than your 90 days, then go on to the next one. And that's what don't get too caught up in all the things. I believe that I would rather have one big goal to achieve than a bunch of little ones.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, set the goal a little higher, be like, out of these 5 things, what is like a really big one I could do? And then go after that one and then break that down. But
yeah, and if it's too big, that's the beauty of the quarterly, because a year out, you'd be like, okay, that is so big. I don't know if I'm going to accomplish it. Okay, so every quarter, here's the chunks I need to bite off. And then you just go after it 90 days. And that's when you realize you can actually do stuff faster than you thought.
I just want people to know that it is possible to reach your highest goal and become your best self, whatever that is. If that's wanting to have some monetary goal, wanting to lose 15 pounds, wanting to travel, whatever that is. I think there's power in putting pen to paper. And also, once you do that, having something you can always reference and go back to. That goes back to the visualization. If it's always in your face, if you're seeing your product, if you have that why, if you fall off the tracks, or if something always happens, it rarely you have the same path to get to that goal from the very beginning, right? We always have to pivot. But as long as we still have that end goal in mind, it's so important to be able to see all of that. It's so clear the people that are the winners and the people that, are often the people that want bigger and better for their lives. They get that because they have a plan. They have goals. They push themselves outside the comfort zone. Whereas I feel there's definitely a standard that people that succeed have with their lives. And that's living with intention and giving their energy to the right things and all of that.
Yes. They're living their main character energy. And that so many people are attracted to other people that are doing that. But when you start living a life of growth and try and get better and be the best version of yourself, live your main character energy, you start realizing real quickly, there's not a whole lot of people doing this. So when you do find other people that are living that life, it's gives you even more confidence that you're on the right path, right? Other people won't get it. If you're not on this path of growth and trying to live a full life and live your main character energy, others just won't get it. They don't understand it. I mean, friends, family, it's hard to have conversations about it. That's, I think, one reason why it's so important in our marriage to continue to talk about this. If one person continues to grow and the other doesn't want to or isn't even interested, how's that relationship even going to work?
Mm-hmm.
You probably met at the same level you were at, but if one takes off and one just stands still, and it's almost doomed to fail.
Yeah.
And that's the same with friendships and family and all that. Business, coworkers. A lot of people just continue to move on. Other people stay still. And some people move backwards too.
Right. That is so important with the meaningful connections and who you surround yourself with. And then also that affects your mindset and everything else in life as well.
Yeah.
So I've been toying with this idea of ending the podcast with a question for all of my guests. And you're my very first special guest, just because you're my first one.
That's Lewis Howes.
Exactly.
Huh? He's very much
well, yeah.
What's your definition of greatness?
And a few other people, yeah. So it's very along those lines. But if you could give a business owner a piece of advice to step into their main character energy, what would be the thing that you tell them to do or been the biggest main character move for you that's changed your life?
I feel like I can list off 20 things, but
simplify.
I think one of the biggest ones, just because we've been talking about it so much, I just came from an agency event. A lot of people that we're listening to, the Hermosis talk about it. Andy Frisella, Ed Milet, they're all talking about emotional resilience. And for me, I think one of the biggest things to step into my main character energy is journaling. You just got to write down your thoughts. It's crazy how much you can realize how you process stuff and how you think. When you slow down and actually put pen to paper and physically write it out. I think that's one of the biggest things that has helped me step into main character energy because I started listening to myself more.
That's so good. So trusting yourself too.
No, just exploring why I think what I think. And a lot of times it goes back to what we're talking about with distractions. When you are so distracted all the time, you don't even get to have a conversation with yourself. And journaling lets you have that conversation.
That's so good. I think that's great. Okay. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to record this with me. I'm super excited about my first episode with you. This is great. I loved being able to share modern wellness with you all and having Cliff share how it has impacted our lives, how it's transformed our lives. And I just want you guys to remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about showing up intentionally and then creating a life that you love. So if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review, hit subscribe, and let us know what resonated with you the most. That's really important to us. We'd love to hear from you. So until next time, keep stepping into your main character energy, keep showing up for yourself, keep pushing through the doubt, and remember, you are the main character. You've got this. you.